Almost there. I'll be right with you. I have to do this part. Ooh, I'm so excited. Get into the chat. People, hello. We got all the people in all the places. Excellent. All right, we done did it. Get rid of that. Hi, people. All right, tell me where you're coming in from. You're already telling me. Wow, so many of you. Hold on, I gotta get myself situated. All right. Hello, NYC, Tampa, Buffalo, DC, California, India. Hi, welcome. I'm so excited. Boulder, Florida, Denver, Fort Worth, people from everywhere. Super exciting. We got UK, we got Vancouver. I was just in Vancouver. I just got home yesterday. Hi, everybody. Welcome. All right, we're here live. This is session 1 of our 3 sessions that we're doing, and today's topic is identifying causes and recognizing symptoms of the father wound. I am so excited that you are here with me. So excited. Just say hello. If you have questions as we go, hold on, am I doing this correct? Yes. Come on in. Hi, Vancouver, more people, Mexico City. If you have questions, put a bunch of question marks in the chat so that Team TC can grab it. So, father wound training. We're doing a whole thing before I actually open the course. So this is just pre-training for you. So you can go to terricole.com/HQ, and that's like the headquarters for all of the free father wound stuff. So you can find all the dates and the times, along with all the links that you need to get text message reminders if you want that, to download the beautiful workbook that we created. I also have some meditations in there for you. So lots of stuff. We made a beautiful workbook for you, as we do. Now, you can download that. And if you haven't, you don't need it for this session, you guys, because you know what I love the most in these sessions is that you are here and actually present, right? So that's exciting for me, but I want you to be present. Everything that's, we put lots of important notes in the workbook, which you can get at terricole.com/workbook. I think you can also download it at HQ. So in the workbook, we start with a quick exercise to sort of set your intention. We've got content for each day. And then at the end of the training, we have a little assessment for you. Hold on. So Q&A, again, today I'm teaching for 35 to 40 minutes. Then I'll be taking Q&A. So if you have questions during the training, put it in the chat. And if you could start with some question marks, because you know how I do it, you guys. If the question that you have that you throw into the chat, I think will help illuminate what I'm doing, make it more clear, I'll grab it right then. But for all of us to be able to see the questions, put a few question marks in front, like 5, if you can, a bunch of question marks. That will help Team TC and me be able to see what it is that we're doing. All right, all the people, hi. All right, so I'm officially welcoming you. I'm so excited. Welcome to session 1 of Father Wound 101. The name of this session is, What is a Father Wound? Oh yeah, I meant to tell you guys, you got to make sure that your chat is set to everyone, because a lot of people it just says to host and whatever. So I want to make sure it's not just host and panelist. Hi, Chelsea from LA. Are you my home slice, Chelsea? Anyhow, Nova Scotia's in the house. Great. So make sure that you're talking to everyone so that we can all see the questions, right? Because that's the whole point, is to be together and to learn and to get on a healing path. Did I lose my sound? You guys hear me? Am I good? Someone lost it. And if you did, oh, everyone hears. Yay. If you don't hear, it's you guys. It's someone, it must be you. Yay. All right. I'm super excited that you guys are here, but it actually truly is an honor and a privilege for me. And like, I'm just acknowledging you that you're taking time out of your life to be here live or to watch this after the fact, right? So a lot of people talk about they want to get better. They want to be healthier in relationships. They want to have more epic love. They want to do all these things. They want to do, like, they want to have higher relational IQ. but you're actually saying that and then you're here. So you're actually doing that, right? It's one thing to complain about what we don't have, and it's another thing to take the steps to have better relationships with yourself, with other people, to create more abundance and more joy in your life. And the fact that you're here, I want you to give yourself some credit because you could be doing something else, but you're here and you will absolutely get something from it. And it does take an effort, Di, right? Diane said, thanks for complimenting our effort. I do, but here's the thing. It does take an effort because we get stuck in our ways. We're like, I'm used to complaining about this, you know? Yeah, don't worry about if something isn't working on that page, Team TC will get it. There's something about the text reminder. Anyway, those of you who are watching this after the fact, deep bow of gratitude to you too, right? Maybe it's 3 a.m. where you live right now, which is why you couldn't be on live, or maybe you're busy, maybe you got a life, maybe you got kids, whatever it is, it's still really noble that you're watching this after the fact. And again, it's for you. But my whole life, my whole thing is about you. Do you know what I mean? So it makes me so happy when you actually do it, you know? So, what is Father Wound 101? So, this is 3 sessions over 3 days designed to raise your awareness of what a father wound is, how a father wound might be negatively impacting your self-esteem, your sense of worthiness, and your relationships, plus some steps that you can take to start this healing journey. That's basically what these next 3 days is all about. This is a part of a free, totally free, month-long training leading up to my brand new Understand and Transform Your Father Wound 8-week coaching course, which starts on June 19th. So if you can join us for that, I promise you, it will be life-changing. terricole.com/father wound. And if you already know you want to join, do it. Either way, I'm going to be teaching you for the next month, whether you join the course or not, but I'm letting people know that I'm having it because this is basically how I do it. I do all this free training. Why? You know why. I do it because I want to even the playing field. I do it because not everyone can afford to take a course. I do it because all of you deserve to have healthy, happy relationships. That's why I do it. So I'm so happy you're here, whether you take the course or not. You know that. Hey, Barb, how you doing? Welcome. And I feel like not everyone can afford to be in therapy. Not everyone can do these things. So my little way of maybe evening the playing field a teeny bit is to put out a ton of free content, which I have been doing for many, many years, which all of you know. So what would be helpful to me and wouldn't cost you anything to do would be to share the workshop series. Because if you guys think it's valuable and you know my work, so you know it is, and you know I don't just save all the good stuff for the course, I teach you the good stuff, share in your life, right? Share with people. You can share the terricole.com/training. That's the URL. Someone from my team will put it in the chat. And then you guys can copy and paste it and share it with people in your life. And even if they missed today, it's fine because we're sending out replays of everything. Yeah. First time here. Well, hi, Terry. Another Terry. I'm so excited. So we all know that part of why this stuff is valuable is that nobody teaches it to us, not in school and not at home. And a lot of times what we get at home is the opposite of, hold on, I'm going to try to pin that if I can. Nope, I guess you can't on here pin stuff. Anyway, you guys, it's terricole.com/training. Most of us didn't learn this at home. And in fact, we're here because what we learned at home was not this. At least I can speak for myself. And being a therapist for 27 years, I can speak for lots of other people as well. But even in school, right? Not in grammar school, not in high school, not in college, not in grad school even. I mean, I went to NYU for grad school. And this stuff, lucky for me, wasn't taught, which is how this career started. I was like, wow, people really need to know this because we transform the world by transforming ourselves, right? As my friend David G would say, and up-leveling our relational skill set. The more people on this healing path, the better. So the way that the sessions are going to be broken down is today, session 1, what is a father wound? 2, understanding the impact of a father wound and how it shapes your relationships, because this is something that we all care about because it does. And then in the 3rd session, it's going to be approaches to overcoming a father wound. So let's start with a little grounding. If you have something that smells good. Hey, Carmen, you're welcome. She said, thank you for taking your time to teach us. Always. I'm obsessed with you guys. What are you kidding? You know it. If you know me, you know it. Make sure you're talking to everyone, not just hosts and panelists. Delicious. Get something that smells great if you have it. And if you don't, make sure you bring something tomorrow. Oh my God, that smells amazing. Never gets old. I don't know, just never gets old. Today I am using Jasmine, Sea, and Sun by Lively. It's so old. It's not even old, but I use it so much. It's worn away. Jasmine, Sea, Sun by the company Lively, Lively. That I love. Oh, I love sandalwood too, Karen. Ooh, or smudge. Yes. What else? What are you guys using? I just am curious. Palo Santo, sandalwood roller. Oh, Nicole, tell me where you got that roller because I think I would love that. Those are like two of my faves as well. Ooh, bergamot, I love too. All right, it's called Stress Away. Okay, oil. All right, so hey, Solange, I'm happy to see you. Ooh, look at you guys. Ooh, sage, stress release. That's one of my faves too, as you guys know. Jasmine, yum, lavender balm. All sound is music to my nose. If that makes sense, which it doesn't. All right, uncross your legs. Get comfortable. I said, put your hands open on your lap. Just breathe. Relax your shoulders down your back. I don't know what you did before this time. Maybe you were rushing. So let's just kind of settle. Drop your attention inward and just dial into your body. How you feeling? And just kind of slow down your breathing. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Just allow yourself to feel the weight of your body on whatever it is that you're sitting on. Maybe it's a couch, a chair. Maybe you're on the ground. Just feel the sensation of your feet on the ground, your butt in the chair. We're just allowing ourselves to be here now. I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to your heart chakra. You don't know where it is, just put your hand on your heart. We're going to take a few deep breaths in here, and I want you to visualize that if there's anything that's clogging or blocking your heart chakra, we're going to breathe straight into that, and on the exhalation, that's going to gently leave your body with your breath. Breathing in and exhale. Let's do that one more time. And release. This allows you to come to this call, this experience, this training with an open heart. And now I'll ask you to bring your attention right between your eyebrows and a little bit up. And we're going to do the same thing for your third eye. We're going to breathe into it. And if there's anything that's blocking your third eye, it's going to leave your body with your breath. Anything that's blocking your ability to see with clarity, your intuition, your inner knowing, your gut feeling. Let's do that once, breathing in. Exhale. And let's do that one more time. Breathing in and release. And this allows you to come to this call with an open mind, which is always a beginner's mind. Now, I will set a collective intention or my intention for you, which is that you have some epiphany, some aha moment. You learn something, you realize something in this next 75 minutes that we're together that helps you lessen your own suffering and elevate your own joy. And now I'll ask you to set your intention for our time together today. And now let's take one last deep breath together. And we'll exhale audibly with a sigh if you're somewhere where you can. On the count of 3, we're going to inhale. 1, 2, 3. And release. Ah. All right. Bring yourself back. Come back to this room. Breathing. Allow yourself to be here now. And now that you're still sort of in this relaxed state, I want you to consider these questions. And you can just drop in the comment, yes, if this applies to you. In your life, were you always aware that there was kind of something off about your relationship with your father or your father figure? Anybody? Yes, exactly. You can put a Y or say, yes, yes, me too. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. So many yeses. Yes, me too. Yes, yes, yes. I always knew it, but I didn't know what it was, you know? Yes. Were you afraid of your father growing up? And maybe you still are. I was afraid. Yep, yep, yep. Well, you guys, if you're looking in the chat, you can see we are all in the right place. Yeah. Even when I was young, me too, Laura. Afraid of his rage. I was just afraid of my father's. He was so cold and like not cold, but yeah, I mean cold, yeah. Just not there, you know? Yeah. And listen, trust me, it's not only those types of fathers that can create a father wound, but I'm just wondering. I just want you to I want to get us to get into the right place in our mind for what we're doing today. And another thing is, did you see good dads portrayed on TV or in movies and like feel sad? Or friends' fathers. I had that experience too, where I was like, a father could be like that. That's amazing. Yeah. It kind of blew my mind seeing my friends' dads, the ones who they weren't afraid of, you know? I couldn't believe it. I was like, someone could have a father they're not afraid of. That's just crazy, right? And then there's other things like not feeling like your father approved of you or gave you attention or made time. Anybody? You know, lack of affection. Was there a lack of affection or a lack of security? Yeah. Or just feeling like you couldn't please your father, you know, or there was only one way. Like for me, if I did well in school, that then it would not that he'd be pleased for too long, but like, you know, it was a way to relate to him because I just didn't know how. Right. Yeah. Hello, my cousin. I see you, sister. I see you. We know. We know. Yes. Yes. Didn't feel a connection. Didn't know how to relate. Same. Oh yeah, my father was the worst. He had no idea. Yeah. Yes, Lily said like he honored us with his being. Yeah. And for us, it was a little bit more like his being or his presence made me and all my sisters be like, bye. Can't wait to get out of this room. Yeah. So you guys, you can see from the chat, my loves, are in the right place and how not alone you are. A lot of you might have had a different kind of father. Maybe you had an amazing father who loved you to death, but was unwell or was addicted or was an alcoholic or, you know, so couldn't show up for you in some other ways. Yeah, my father was a workaholic and an alcoholic too, Susan, but a high functioning one. So, and this can be very confusing. If you have a father who never gets a DUI, right? In the US, that's like a driving while intoxicated thing. Um, you know, oh, Donna said, you know, Angie had said that the boys in the family were valued more. And my father had 4 daughters, where I feel like he was like, well, that sucked. Yeah, yes. So you guys, I did a survey and many of you answered, thank you. But it helps me know what to teach in our Father Wound 101 and in the course itself. So basically the questions are, what is a father-daughter wound, which we'll be talking about? How do I know if I have a father-daughter wound, which we'll be talking about? What impact does it have on our relationships, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow? And can it be healed? And the answer is yes, yes, yes. But we'll cover that on Friday, day free. So there's lots coming up. Don't worry about it. So let's dive into it, shall we? What is a father wound? Just so that we're all on the same page while we're doing this training together. It's a psychological or emotional injury that can stem from growing up with a father or father figure. And sometimes I say paternal impactor, which is just like the grown-up adult who sort of played that part in your life. If they were absent, abusive, controlling, not emotionally attuned or available to you. And I think a lot of people had that experience. Or in my case, my father, who was physically there, but was very checked out emotionally. Or I don't know if it was checked out or just incapable, but either way, yeah, we didn't. I did already. So myths. Let's talk about the myths. And I want to see what you guys are saying about this. Covert controlling behavior, said Jane. Mine only was a sperm donor, said Deb. My dad was gentle and kind. I felt I needed to protect him. That's common too. And that can also create a wound. Always flying into rages at us three women. My dad never spoke of his feelings ever. My father never spoke, you guys. Like, I'm not exaggerating to tell you that by the time my parents got divorced, I swear to God, I think I exchanged maybe 50 words total with my father my entire life up until 0 to 13. Yeah. Physical and emotional unavailability. Yeah. Never knew what to expect. Rages were so common and frightening. Absolutely, Lise. So scary. My dad didn't talk, but also was distant. Yeah, same. A lot of people had a temper. I felt like my father had a temper under the surface. So it isn't just like he wasn't there. It was that we were afraid of him for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Rosa said she was the same. Acted like, if someone said military member, acted like a drill sergeant with us. Violent, never satisfied, says Solange. Our father called his six daughters bitches. Nice. Sexually abused me, but extremely cold and emotionally. Horrible, Beth. I'm so sorry. Father was disparaging about feelings and psychology. Oh, of course. Sure. Of course. No, not interested in the feeling state. Yep. Severe alcoholics. We have a lot of that. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, hold on. Myths. Let's talk about the myths. A lot of these have come in from you guys, and I just want to sort of dispel them. Only absent fathers cause issues. This is a myth. And of course, the truth is no. Emotional unavailability in physically present fathers can also significantly affect daughters, and abusive fathers obviously can affect daughters. Judgmental, critical, mocking. There's so many ways, so many flavors of getting a father wound, but it is not just severe abuse, or it is not just absence that does it. Father wounds only result from severe abuse or extreme neglect. And that is really misleading. So we want to be all clear that it stems from many subtler forms of emotional neglect, criticism, or even lack of engagement and support, not just extreme abuse or neglect. And I think that so many of us, if you didn't have an extreme situation, so much of the time, my therapy clients would come to me and say, but other people had it much worse, or I know it could have been much worse. I'm like, that doesn't mean your experience didn't impact you, and what you didn't get didn't impact you, because it really does. Yeah. Yeah. All right, here we go. A myth. If you are successful, you don't have a father wound. Can anyone relate to having a father wound and being successful and being driven by their father wound? Anybody? Yeah. Totally. Yep. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can achieve success, and you can on the inside feel less than confident and unworthy due to unresolved. You can achieve success proving something, right? Planning something, you know? So anyway, I feel you. A myth. You will outgrow a father wound. Father wounds need active emotional work for healing. They don't disappear with age. And in fact, what I say, and I think some of you are experiencing this, is that the stuff that we don't manage, it comes out. And this happens in our 50s, 60s, and 60s, where I call it the chickens coming home to roost, where there's just only so long that we can avoid what needs to be dealt with, what needs to be processed. So that's why you're here, right? Is that we're healing these wounds. Myth, you have to confront your father to heal. Many of you, your father has already passed on. Mine has. I know many of you here have. Even if your father's alive, you don't need them. Healing can occur without confrontation or any participation at all from a father or father figure. So don't worry about it. Yep. Yeah, a lot of you. Yeah. So because I think a lot of the hesitation, Jennifer said, it's been 14 years since my father passed and I'm still healing. It's literally not about your father though, right? When we get down to what is it about? It's about you. This is for you, this training. The course itself is for you. And even though it seems like it's about them, it's really not. This is about you and liberating yourself from these painful experiences, liberating yourself from resentment prison. That a lot of times having a father wound, like we harbor these resentments for the ways they failed us, and they did. That's a fact. But I'm so grateful that you're here because this, my dear, is about you. Yeah, and in session 3, we're going to go over the whole resentment and sort of processing and dealing with all of that. All right, what are 5 common causes of father wounds? So, and this may be obvious, but we're still covering it because I don't think anything is obvious. It's very easy to have blind spots when it comes to these deep original injuries with a parent. So, physical absence is one. So that could be divorce, death, abandonment, mental health issues, addiction issues, right? Physical absence. Someone could be in jail, that they could be physically absent from that. And then I'm giving you examples that actually came in from our community. So thank you for sharing. This person shared, my mom divorced my dad when I was 12 and we had weekend visits with him. And then one day he just stopped picking up my brothers and I for weekend visits and never saw him again. Like the abruptness of that, of course, creates a rupture, creates an injury, especially if nobody was telling. Yes, yes, don't worry, I'll get to workaholism, Michelle, for sure. Emotional absence, right? So I'd say one of the most common causes of father wounds, a father who may be physically present, but fails to engage emotionally with their children. And this woman shared, my father was a brilliant and well-known musician, but his life was about music first. So he rarely played with us or did any normal day-to-day stuff with us kids. He disliked anyone who needed anything or had a problem. Her hand is up. So I tried to be perfect and never asked for help or support as he was usually too busy. So, and this really happens a lot with people who have very successful fathers, where you really can't do it all, right? You can't do it all. And the feeling like you're always second, this happens with workaholic fathers as well, which was my experience, where you always feel like you're second to work or third or fourth or fifth, or you're not even on the list, which is painful. Dysfunctional behavior is another, hold on, what are we talking about? Yeah. So common causes. Now going into the dysfunctional behavior, it could be addiction, it could be narcissism, toxic personality, it could be, and when we say addiction, it could be any kind of addiction behavior. So it could be deading, it could be it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be women or men, right? It could be, and any mental health challenge. We talk about narcissism as one for sure, but any other mental health challenge that falls into that category of being toxic, which was a lot. Yeah. So Megan said, my father was fired for sexual harassment of a coworker when I was in high school. Like brutal. Donna saying my father had many affairs, right? And these are all things that impact how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about women, how we feel about men, how we feel about relationships, how trusting we are. So this person shared under the dysfunctional behavior addiction thing, this woman shared, my father suffered from mental illness, addiction, and chronic homelessness. As a result, I never truly felt I could rely on him. I had very little respect for him too, which makes me feel so guilty. Now I swing between hyper independent and anxiously attached. It's as if I always assumed I will be abandoned, so I chose people who would do it, who would do so. Now I grip too tightly in my marriage out of fear. It's totally ruining our connection. Even in friendships, I feel quite insecure and people please often. Does anyone identify with what that beauty shared? Yeah, Wendy said, oof, I relate. Yes. And almost like accelerating the process of ending something because you're like, it's going to end anyway. And it almost gives us an illusion or a semblance of some kind of control of something, even though it's really not that. Yes, self-sabotage, totally, Melody. But there's a reason, right, for doing it. Other results, causes are high expectations and criticism. So feeling that you could never meet your father's expectations or that they were constantly criticized, right? When the standards are so high, no matter what you did, it just never felt like enough. And someone shared around this. My dad would have me do chores and I would do a great job. He would always say, it's good, but you should have done this or that. I could never get a positive reinforcement from him, right? Without like a qualifier. It's just exhausting. Oh, Melody said, I just realized my dad is my inner self-critic. Oh, yes. Yeah. Other cause of father wound is any kind of abuse, verbal, emotional, mental, physical, or sexual. So this person shared, my father was incredibly verbally abusive and threatened extreme violence, whether or not he followed through. How this shows up in my life is that I have a very high tolerance for abusive behavior. This no longer serves me. Right? So we understand, right, that we see this, there's this behavior is modeled in a way that we feel like it's normal, right? Unconsciously, you know, partnership and pain went like that. And so this high tolerance for pain sets you up to repeat the shit that you don't want to repeat that you say you're not gonna. Yes, making fun of a teenage daughter is mean. Yeah. My father once told me, don't be a slut. And I was still a virgin. You're like, hello, do you even know me? I see red flags in men and then stick around, said Anne. Yeah. My dad would always sandwich criticism, so all positive compliments were to disguise the fact that all he was doing was being critical. Yeah, Ruthie said that was me, a high tolerance for pain. My dad is very sweet and a good person, so it was very hard for me to realize that the problem was that he wasn't attuned to my feelings, said Andrea. Yeah. And it makes you want to be like, well, he wasn't this and he wasn't that. And yet we're still impacted by a father who is not attuned to our feelings. Always walking on eggshells. Oh my God, I want that to be literally, I'm not kidding, Kira. I was going to have that as one of the names of one of my books or a course or something. Just no more walking on eggshells. Because how many of you have experienced this in your life? And how much does it impact the other relationships in your life? Where we're always looking. It's like we can read every room. We can see everything that's happening. And trying to anticipate what's going to happen. It's so brutal. Yes, eggshells, just so over it. My dad was people pleasing my mom, who's a narcissist, abusing him and us. Yes, Irina, I feel you. My mother complained about me when he got home, so he'd take it all out on me. Yeah, which is also, that's so the traditional, like, wait till your father gets home type of thing, someone to be scared of. When I was 6 and crying, my father held his arm up. Hold on, my father held his arm up to show his biceps and yelled, be a man. You're like, hello? I realized I walk on eggshells around CEO of my company. Oh, Dana, that's so common, especially if you had an authority thing with a father. Oh, I will. Don't worry. Please write that book about walking on eggshells. You know I'm gonna. All right, I'm going to get back to, and you guys make sure you're saying it to everyone so that we can all see it. Let's talk about, just want to get into some symptoms. I want to make sure I have time for all the questions. Oh, hypervigilant people pleaser. Yep. Can't be myself to say what I need because my feelings are invalid, said Dawn. Yeah, that's the fear. They're not invalid, though, of course. I don't trust what people tell me, so I learned to read their body language and trust that. Oh, Linda, is so, so true. And the thing is, when you do that, it makes it so hard to have healthy relationships. Because why aren't we making people's words and actions match? Right? Where we're like, I'm reading the messages in between, you know? Yep. Yes. He read spiritual books too and claimed to have a special connection to the divine, but abused us endlessly. Yeah. Spiritual narcissists, they exist too, you know? All right, let's talk about the symptoms and see where you fall in here. And you can just say yes if it's you as we're going. So feeling inadequate, constantly feeling that you're not good enough, stemming from early criticism or lack of affirmation from your father. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I see you. I see it. I see it. Someone shared his perfectionistic expectation had me feeling that however perfect I was, it was still never enough. I had to learn that 95% was good enough for me. I wore myself out trying to meet some bar that kept getting raised. Anyone? Because I feel like burnout has a lot to do with perfectionism and trying to be good enough, not feeling like you are and getting burnt out. I'm not surprised, honestly. So if it's not surprising. Yeah. Other symptoms, having boundary issues. Anybody struggling with boundaries that are either too rigid, right, leading to isolation, or too porous, resulting in being overly accommodating. Just anyone, or you could be both of those things in different relationships. Yeah. And then someone shared about this. I think I was always a little afraid of my father. I didn't feel like I was quite good enough. This has influenced my ability or lack thereof to set healthy boundaries and stand up for myself. Yeah. Overly accommodating is so incredibly common, Mary. It's not just you. Yeah. My boundaries are very rigid. That's not uncommon either, where we're like, it's not going to happen, but it doesn't make for good relationships, rigid boundaries, right? They're just the two extremes, right? Two sides of the same coin, basically. Yeah. All right. Trust issues is another symptom. So difficulty trusting others, intentions or commitment, often expecting disappointment, as you just said, a reflection of unreliable behaviors from your father. Anyone? Trust issues? Yeah. Someone said, I think my lack of trust in men was shaped by the fact that my father cheated on my mother. Yep. Yep. Yes. Grace said, trusting too much also. Yes. I vacillated between those two things, right? Positively projecting onto other people that they were like me and sometimes, and then being hurt in that way, but then never really getting close to, like, never really letting people see, my dad had no integrity, and so I couldn't trust his word. Yeah, when the father doesn't do what they say they're going to do, if they make promises and don't keep them, it's just brutal. Abandonment issues. Hold on. Intense fear of being left, which can manifest to clinging too tightly in relationships or avoiding intimacy to prevent abandonment, which we had just talked about. It's funny. When I was younger, the way my abandonment issues came up is like I just always partnered with people who were unavailable emotionally or who lived on other continents. That was my thing. I had all these European boyfriends. And I was like, they're nothing like my father. They're so warm and affectionate and cozy and lovely. And my therapist was like, and they live on another continent. I was like, all right. She's like, Tara, no, it's the same thing because it leaves you longing, right? You're in longing, whether you're in a relationship with someone who's emotionally unavailable and you're in the same room with them, or in a relationship with someone who lives on another continent and you see them 3 times a year, right? It's all of your time is caught up and the same exact feeling, which is that my needs are not getting met. I have this sense of perpetual and perennial longing, right? Yeah. All right, let's go into here. I see much of these traits. Hold on, I'm trying to stop that. In my relationship with a brother. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Don't worry. But so many comments. Hold on. I don't let people in. When I do, I'm loyal, even when they hurt me, because I don't want to be abandoned, Catherine said, which I think there's truth in that. Anybody loyal to a fault? Anybody here? Would you raise your hand to say that you're loyal to the wrong people for too effing long? Anybody? Stay in friendships that you know suck for like a decade longer than they should. Stay in romantic relationships that you know are not good for the same reason, and sort of pride yourself, right, on being loyal. Yes. And we're just sharing you guys share in the chat. You don't have to raise the hand thing. Just share in the chat. Yes, because I can see all of you. Yes, to everyone. Yes. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get to codependency because you know that's a part of it too. Oh yeah, and staying in jobs that you're burnt out from, that you're totally over functioning, overworking, over delivering, picking up the slack for other people, and exhausted, right? Entitled bosses, but we stay. The ones who make sure there's coffee, the ones who make sure the kitchen's clean, the one who's it's like being the cleanup crew. So exhausting. And also not being the best. A lot of times this can also translate to not being the best delegators in the world. Yeah. Sarah said, why are job boundaries easier than interpersonal close relationship ones? So asked Sarah. That's actually a great question. And it's not for everyone, but there's a reality that, you know, you're not as vulnerable in your work situations necessarily, right? The people you really love, you're really vulnerable to them. And if they hurt you, it can be even more devastating, you know? And Loretta said, I'd say I'm the opposite. In romantic relationships, I seed for something better that's changing because of all the work I'm doing, but it's been a consistent pattern. So meaning you don't stay forever, Loretta, that's what you mean? Like you're always looking for like, what's yeah. Lisa said, I never delegate, try to do it all, whether at work or while volunteering. And it's just so exhausting. And what ends up happening, Lisa, and I've had this experience myself, how many of you do it all, we overfunction, overgive, and then kind of feel like other people are assholes a little bit. Like we kind of feel like, how is Betty so entitled that I'm going to do everything? And when Betty wants to do something, we're like, I got it. That's fine. Anybody? Yep. Yes. Yes. Emotional connection to family, not for a job. Interesting. So you guys, you can see. Yes, agreed, said Linda. And then I get mad at them. I become resentful. This is the pattern that I see almost the most when it comes to father wound stuff and over functioning, is that we end up resentful, right? We end up, and this is codependency stuff. And so much of this, obviously, father wounds lend themselves to codependent behavior. There's just no doubt. And we already talked a little bit about perfectionism, an overwhelming need to be perfect in all aspects of life as a way to earn love or approval that was conditionally given or withheld by your father. Or you might have made up a story like I did. Kids do this, right? I was convinced that I was born the wrong gender. I was the fourth daughter to a father who really could have used some sons, according to me. And so I had something to prove, with a chip on my shoulder. I was going to be more successful than any stupid son my father could have had. And I don't think until I was in my 30s, my mother was like, Tara, your father never said that. I don't think that's true. And she said, I don't think he would have been interested in sons either. I was like, wow, that is pretty depressing. But she really didn't, she just thought he wasn't emotionally capable, you know, but we make up a story. Now, why would I make up that story? Oh, because it's way less painful to think there's a reason. Like, oh, I see. I was the wrong gender. That's what it was. And when I came in therapy to realize it really wasn't that, it was really more painful to be like, wow, he just wasn't interested in kids. He just wasn't interested in us, you know? Yes, Ruthie said, you went through the ringer so you could help others who did too. That is correct. You know, Deepak Chopra says, if you have an experience in life and you came out of it, you learned something, that you have sort of a moral obligation to help others suffer less. And I think it's true, actually. All right, so Team GC, these are moving too fast, so you're gonna have to be grabbing anything you want me to actually look at because I can't make it stop rolling. And we're a lot of people here having a great time. All right, another symptom is what? Hyper-independence, right? A strong need to rely solely on ourselves. Often a defense mechanism, which is true, to cope with the emotional unavailability or inconsistency of your father or your father figure. So the hyper independence, like I used to always think there was something sort of, I don't know, I was proud of how independent I was, and I am independent, But when I really got to understand that hyper independence is not the same as healthy independence, right? So let's make a distinction between those two. Hyper independence is rejecting help even when you could use it, right? Healthy independence is being able to know your shit and get it done and be fine. Hyper is overly. It's not letting the taxi driver put the huge bag in the back of the car. You're like, I got it. Or at least that's what I used to do. It's at work, as Lisa had shared before, and doing everything, being a bad delegator or redoing things, right? Not liking the way other people are doing things. Needing, and when we think about it, there is so much control that we're really talking about with father wounds. And why is that? Because as children, we were helpless. So it really impacts us to grow up. And this can happen with a mother wound as well, where we want to control all the things because we didn't have control in childhood. Michelle said, egads, control. That's a light bulb. Yeah. Really think about it, you guys, though. That is what it is, right? Yeah. Yeah, I have a mother wound version of this, Kira, just FYI. And I will be offering it. Yes, you'll see. Oh, there's so many great questions. We need to get to it. Loretta said I'm a control freak. I think I could say I'm a recovering control freak, but yeah. Linda said, I feel I have to protect and help the wounded individual. Oh, yes. Without a doubt, that helps as well. Type A. Yep. Some people would say alpha females in a way from this, because again, once that powerlessness you feel in childhood with these types of wounds is you don't want to feel that way in relationships anymore at all, in any relationships. All right, let me get some questions. Michelle said, how does one assess a father's emotional unavailability? Wondering if my thoughts are really true or they are exaggerated. That's a really good question. But here's what I want to say to you, Michelle. All that matters, since this is about you and not about us being able to ascertain the level of emotional availability or unavailability that existed with your father figure, your father. If you think your father was emotionally unavailable, I'm going to venture a very educated guess and say that he was. That makes sense? Like, you're here for a reason. So it's about trusting that, because we're not making them wrong necessarily or not. Like we can be like, they did the best they could or they totally sucked and didn't. I have no idea. All I care about is you, right? All I care about is you figuring this out for yourself. So if you feel like he was emotionally unavailable, my guess is going to be he probably was. All right, Donna said, do you believe in women being too independent is a masculine role? I'm not into the roles in that way myself personally. I'm into healthy dependence in relationships. I'm into, if people are looking for long-term relationships, I'm into them being healthy, right? Like Vic depends on me, I depend on him, and we each have our skill sets that are better than others. Like I would say, I think it's healthy in some ways to want your partner, right? And I feel like I need him too in some ways, but in reality, if he was abducted by aliens, I'd figure it the fuck out because it's my life. and we come in alone and we go out alone, and that's the reality. So no, I don't believe that you can be like too independent because it's masculine or whatever the question was, Donna, in that respect. I feel like we can be hyper independence, which keeps us isolated from having mutual relationships. And that would be the reason I want you to have healthy relationships. Make sense? Anyway, that was a great question, Donna. Thank you. Jane said, can a 1 year older brother than me serve as a father figure when we were children? Father was emotionally unavailable much of the time. Yeah, I mean, they can, especially if, Jane, if your brother took on a paternal vibe, right? That, yes, was protective or acted in a way that we would expect a father figure to in some ways, then yes, that can, you can get a father wound from that, but you can also have a lot of transference to that. Valerie said, can a father wound be magnified if you are an only child? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Jane said he actually was the same as my father, but I was transferring on him. Yeah, that is complicated too, where it can almost be like a double father wound, if that makes sense. If your father gave you a father wound and then you had a brother who treated you the same way, it's almost like that father wound times two. You know what I mean, Jane? So yeah, I got you. Anyway, back to Valerie. How can a father wound be magnified if you're an only child? Yes. And yet it doesn't mean that people with siblings especially if they had a really bad experience, have a lesser father wound. But Valerie, being an only, there a lot of times there is more attention on you, right? There's more focus on an only child than a family of 6 kids or 4 kids or 3 kids. So I feel like, but really what will determine if your father wound, how magnified it is how you related to your father, how your father related to you. It's really the content of that, but you don't have a sibling to share it with. The one benefit, and can be difficult too, with a father wound, is if you had a father that was unfair, that treated one kid better than others. That can be brutal. And so, or you have, like, I have 3 older sisters, and because we have close relationship, it's someone who really understands the shit that you went through. You know what I mean? And you can actually talk about it with someone who was there and experience the experiences that you had, which can be, for me, it like lightens the load some, Yeah. All right. How does mother wound compare to father wound? They're different. That's all I can say, is that they both can be very damaging and they both impact the way we relate to other people. But father-daughter wounds are very specific to the way we relate in our romantic relationships. That's one of the areas that it affects lots of different areas, but that's one of the areas that it really impacts us. On what? I have a blog on that I have a blog. My team is telling me I did it, but probably a while ago, on the difference between mother wounds and father wounds. So you can look for that on my website. Kat said, that is a light bulb for me now. There's a lot of pain with my brother as well as my father. My brother took on the man of the house role when I was a teenager. He was in his 20s, different causes of wounds, but equally impacting. Absolutely. Again, because this person in some ways had authority over you or took authority over you, Dawn said there was never much said. You only knew you were in trouble when the belt came out, which is also so scary because, Dawn, you want to talk about learning to read a room, learning to feel someone's energetic vibe to stay safe. So I bet there's a lot of mind reading that goes on in your life and a lot of body language. You don't even realize how much body language reading happens if you came from an unsafe family of origin, where you're just trying to figure out how to not be hurt, basically. All right, hold on. Get this. Why is that in there? Marianne said, was there many fathers who were good? It seems to me that most were unavailable. Was that not common ground? I'm sure there are lots of good dads out there, honestly, because I always seem to gravitate towards a friend, whether it was in college. My best friend like had a great father who was she wasn't afraid of, and so I wasn't. I was always seeking a corrective emotional experience when it came to father wounding, like always. If I had a boss who was warm and affectionate, I would always be drawn to them and want them to mentor me, and you know what I mean. And there was also a lot of, because of the society and because of the ages that we are, right? 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even. You're talking about like being raised in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So that was a time where gender roles, there was a real expectation. I feel like, thank God, we've made some headway with that. There was one. Yeah, exactly. My dad was good in many ways, but I think all parents fall short and wound us eventually. They were the good ones. No one's perfect, without a doubt. And the thing is, though, some are horrifically bad, right? And some are more egregious than others. And I think that that's really what we're here for, is figuring out, what is it? Like, what did you experience? And really the reason why today, what we're talking about is the symptoms and what it is, and establishing this so you can really look for yourself at, like, where am I in this mix? Anne said, do you think that the lack of emotional connection in men, not to generalize, is improving with the newer generation? I do, Anne. I do. I feel like there's more availability now, right? It's more acceptable now for men to talk about their feelings and to be fluent and to have therapy. And I feel like it's better. I feel like, at least there's an emphasis on it, and more people are in therapy too. And look at how much more information is out here about it. All right, Jen said, I have my own wounds, but how do I help my 3 children, teenagers, young adult, with the father wounds? I know they have them from their own dad. I think you can share information, like you can share info with them, because there's so much out there. And it's like feeling, just you're normalizing them seeking healing by talk about that. Yeah. In the course itself, that is starting on June 19th, we have a whole section focused on helping children, helping you help your children in the course itself, because this is such a major concern. Mothers in particular are worried about their children having father wounds. So the course itself is terricole.com/father wound if you are interested in doing it. Because so many of you have told me you have a concern about that. So we're going deeper into it in the course itself. Solange said, is learning to trust ourselves one of the keys to healing? And how do we go about it? Well, that's a great question, Solange. And I bet a lot of other people want to know this. I think you have to become aware of, where are you self-abandoning, right? Where are you not taking care of yourself? Because that's what breaks the self-trust, is when we kind of choose other people above ourselves. So I would say that's your start, is looking at, where are you self-abandoning? Where could you take better care of yourself? That's what will build self-trust, allowing yourself to say no when you're exhausted. Really thinking about whether you want to do something before you commit it, right? Before you commit yourself to doing it. Like that. Those are things that will go a long way in building self-trust. Connie said, I worry about my daughter. I feel I have to protect her from a father wound from her dad, but then I wonder if I'm projecting onto their relationship. Connie, if you think your daughter has a father wound, she probably does. And you may be having an amplified response to it because of your own father wound. But I do not think you would be imagining a father wound. Does that make sense? And again, share this training with her. Like there's things that you can do to be supportive. Yeah. Kira said, can you expand upon the sense of longing that is experienced, and how might we be able to let that go? Well, part of it is in really healing the father wound. You're overcoming so many things and you're moving stuff out of the way, the stuff that is in the way of you having more satisfying relationships. So the way that we get rid of the longing is part of it. And I teach this in the course too, is how do we belong to ourselves? How do we belong to ourselves, love ourselves, protect ourselves, take care of ourselves, treat ourselves like the beloved that we are, that we need to be, you know? And so I feel like the longing has to do with the father wound itself being unhealed. And then for me, then that longing got played out in unsatisfying relationships. So how do we got to go to the original injury, which I will obviously walk you through in the course, and do exactly what you're doing now. Learn, elevate your education, your mind, your thoughts, your emotional IQ about how a father wound could be impacting you right now, which is what you're doing. So I feel like you're in a great place. Gretchen said, it has been a founding principle and is cutting me off from living in full joyful presence. Yes. Yes. And we can change it. That's the whole point. That's why I created a whole course. That's why I did this training. That's why I'm talking about this for a whole month, right? The course doesn't start for another 22 days or something. We have plenty of time, you know? But it's like, what I want to gift you with, what I want to leave you with, what the thought I want you to have is that you can heal, is that you can heal. And whatever happened in your life, whatever disappointment, whatever abuse, whatever anything, that was never, ever about your worthiness. You're amazing. Like, you are amazing. You deserve everything that you want. It was a lack on their part of mental health, of ability, of sanity, of being sober, or whatever it was. And what a shame. What a shame for them that they didn't get to have you in that way. I always thought it was such a shame. I was like, if my father really knew me, he would be so fucking proud. And I know he was, but do you know what I mean? I'm like, you're only looking at the external shit, like you don't even know me. I'm a really good person. I think you would really like me if you got to know me. But he just wasn't capable. And then he died. So there you have it, you know? And yet that can leave us feeling so like, oh, it was me. If I had been different, if I had been better, but it's not true. So I hope that the biggest takeaway from this free training, and for those of you who will join the course, is going to be that it was never you. But now the focus is on you. Yeah. Never your fault. Never your fault. Never deserved it. Never. So let that sink in. Like, really, it's almost like if you could imagine, like right here, right, is your ribs and your sternum. We're going to just imagine we're sort of moving them apart and just let that truth. It was never you. It was never your fault. It's just like sunshine pouring into your heart. Like, we're going to be now moving forward from that principle, from this moment forward in life. It was not you or your fault. You know, not your fault. So anyway, more questions. We've got 10 more minutes. We're doing it. We're doing it. BB said, if someone has huge father and mother wounds, is there any hope for a long-term healthy relationship? I'm scared of relationships. BB, there really is. And I understand why you're scared. I understand why you're scared, but there really is, because you're grown up now. And so now you have every opportunity to reparent yourself. And I can walk you through it, right? This is what we're doing. And this is exactly what I'll do in the course, which, you know, you'll be hanging out with me for 8 weeks. That'll be healing. I promise you that much. And terricole.com/father wound, if you're interested in the course. Jen said, I saw you speak at the Heal the Healer Oh yeah, and what energy and vibe you gave off. You are awesome. And I was thinking that at the beginning while you were speaking of your dad. Wow, what a loss for him. If you were my child, I'd be wildly proud and let you know it. Oh, thanks, Jen. Don't make me cry. Oh, I feel like there's going to be a lot of crying in in the stuff we're doing, in the course itself, because even when you're feel like for me, I'm on the other side of the healing, right? No doubt. But it's so fresh for me because of you, right? It's so fresh for me because of you guys and because I want you to be on the other side. And I want you to know, BB, that you can have healthy relationships and you can create that. I want you to know that. That is my driving force, is your transformation. Like I'm mesmerized by the potential to create the life and the relationships that you want. It is time, Jennifer. It's time that we heal this. It's time to move on. Angie said, I know I didn't deserve it. I know it was not my fault, but I still feel rejected for the smallest slights, like not having my comments read in this Zoom. I got you. Angie, I feel you. And there's nothing, I so get that. Because even when we know it's not our fault, the little kid in us still feels hurt by it, still feels upset by it, still feels marginalized and unimportant by it. But you are important. I see you. We see you. And you can heal from that. And listen, we may always be a little bit, like you may always be slightly sensitive to feeling slighted, and that's okay. That's okay. This is part of it, but we don't want it to be your whole thing. And as you heal this father wound, you'll be less and less sensitive to it. That makes sense? Yeah, and look, everyone is sending you so much love. And I love this group already. Like, oh my God, we just started. Angie, we got you. Yes. Thanks for confirmation. Even your tone of voice is soothing. I'm so glad to hear it. All right, Loretta's question. What's the best way to approach generational trauma when dealing with father wound? It's the same way, babe. Honestly, Loretta, it's the same way. You're talking about how do I heal my own? Now, when you say generational trauma, do you mean that your mother's father wound being handed down to you, or do you mean you have your own father wound? That's my question. Yes, someone said, I feel sorry for my father for not being able to be a good father, and instead being angry. And I'm just sad for him. Is that a normal part of the process? Thanks for everything you do. It is, especially as you're healing, Indra, especially as you're healing, right? Because we get to a point where we realize, like, I'm kind of great. And like, he could have had this. We could have had something, you know, but he couldn't. And that is the sadness. I feel great compassion for my father now. And he passed away in 1997. So he's been gone for a long time. But it's sad for what they miss, you know? But we can't get too into worrying about them. I wanted to answer that because it is normal. But the end of the end is that this is about us. This is about you. This is about the child within you. This is about understanding how a father wound has impacted your life, right? And what do we need to change so that we don't have those remnants, those toxic remnants in our relationships now? Because, of course, it all comes along, Anyway, Loretta, I can't see if you answered me, if you're still here, but that's what I wanted to know about the generational stuff, because we are dealing with this is a generational approach to trauma, especially in the course itself, right? Because we'll be dealing with the next generation, and stopping the cycle is a part of the course. Loretta said, yes, developing compassion for my dad did happen for me. Hold on, Loretta. Made all the difference in the world. Honestly, I had to go outside the box to get there, which was a medium. Your father had his own trauma. Hey, I say by hook or by crook, sister. Like any means necessary, any way that we have to do it, we do it. Yeah. Yes, it would. Claudine said, Terri, most of my issues nowadays seem to be work related. Would the training help with that? In the course, certainly. TerriCole.com/father wound. We will be dealing with that because I had a lot of my stuff coming out in work, and so did many of my clients over the past 27 years, and how to deal with it and how to tell when you're having a transference and how to tell when that wound is being kicked up. And why are we still attracting these people? And if you are still attracting those people, it's because the father wound itself is still sticky and needs your attention, which I'm quite sure is why you are here. And, people, it's interesting. People love to look at me or look at anyone else and think that, you have the answers and you know what you're talking about. And here's the thing. What I will say is I'm nobody's guru, as you guys know, but I am positive that I am a damn good GPS to get you where you need to go inside of you for your answers. I am an expert at creating a safe and sacred container for your healing in every way. It is so safe. So you guys, if you've never taken a course with me before, those of you who have know that we don't have any, nobody is giving other people advice in the group, right? So in any group that I run, no matter what you do, I'm the only therapist, I'm the only coach in that group. So that's something to keep in mind, that the container itself, especially if you're someone who has a tendency, if you're a high functioning codependent, you have a tendency to worry about other people. This might be the first time in your life that you spend 2 months literally just witnessing other people, just focusing your eyes on your own paper and not feeling like you need to fix or help others. And you do help others simply by witnessing. Exactly. Gretchen said, good to be in a therapeutic bubble. Absolutely. Everything I do is therapeutically informed, obviously. But I feel like it's a new experience for many clients to be in a course where they don't feel like they need to be managing and being worried about other participants. I know that sounds out there, but it's true. Just a relief for you to be able to focus on you. So this was wonderful. I hope that you learned something today, that you got something today. There's so much more to come. I'm so excited about tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the first session of Father Wound 101. I really pray that it added value to your life, that you have a better understanding of what a father wound is. And did any of you have any aha moments in our first session? Anybody? Yes, you did. I see it. I love it. Right on. Hands are up. Here's the thing, you guys. Look in that active chat. You are not alone. You are not fragile. I am here to guide you every single solitary step of the way, and Team TC as well. And this is something you can learn, you can heal from, because you deserve the life, the relationships, to be regarded, to be held in high esteem. You deserve that in your life. So I'm reminding you, please share this on social media. People can come and take it. Right? It's free. It really is. And yes, I will be talking about the course in every single session because I also need to do things that make money. But I'm giving you the goods right here. Please share with other people. It's terricole.com/training. And that will get them they will be able to sign up and get the recording of today. And then they'll be able to come live tomorrow and Friday, which is so great. I'll also be going live over the weekend. You know how we do it. This is now Father Wound season has begun, people. So make sure you tag me on social too if you're sharing anything about the training. Yeah, feel free to take a screenshot right now if you haven't. Now would be a good time. I'll smile. Okay, are you good? Did you do it? And actually, we will send you some assets that maybe aren't me smiling in the follow-up email with this and give you some hashtags that you can use. But make sure you tag me. Because if you know someone who has a father wound who needs this, share it with them, right? Because the healthier we are, the healthier we all are, which is what we need. So the next live workshop is happening tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same time, same place. You do not want to miss it. I'll be sending you an email reminder. You can also sign up for the text message reminders at terricole.com/HQ. Cute. So I can't wait to see you then. And we will be talking about tomorrow understanding the impacts of a father wound and how it shapes your relationships. That is what we're handling tomorrow. So I'm super excited to see you there. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And as always, what am I going to say? Take care of you.